Today we're going to talk about line conventions, and line conventions can tell us more about a particular drawing. Let's go through the definition of it. So lines of varying style and thickness, so the style and the thickness are the ways that we can change the appearance of lines, are used in specific ways to develop and communicate graphic messages. So just by looking at the picture and looking at the style and thickness of the line, we can receive some information that the sketcher intended to develop and communicate graphic messages about an object's geometry. Okay. The next few slides show some basic line conventions and their use. The first one is the construction line, and it's the one that we use to help us draw something. So I'm going to write over the construction lines here. And you can see what this person probably did was make a rectangular oriented object without curves. And after that was done, sort of rounded it off, say over here, and of course at the top, but use these light blue lines to sort of guide how those curves would be made. So they're very lightly drawn lines to guide drawings of other lines and shapes, just like I described here. So that's the construction line. The object line is the thing that you would expect a line to be. It defines the object. And it's prominently shown here. It's dark, it's solid, and it defines the object. So not too difficult there conceptually. So that's the object line. Well, hidden line. Well, in this case, this object, as we'll come to find out, has holes in it from the top. So if I'm looking, if this is my eye, and I'm looking straight down, I'm going to see a hole here. So from the top, it's going to look like that on each side. But when I turn it on its side, it's a cylinder defined by these lines, which I can't see because there's material in front of it. So it shows the interior detail, not visible from the outside of the part, at least from that view. So the way we do that is with a dashed line. There should be an additional description of how to make it. So this is a dashed line. The best place to see it really is right here in this area here, and I'm trying to find the eraser, and I just found it. Sorry about that. So you can see that they are indeed dashed lines here and here. Yeah, so just like this. Those are hidden lines. Okay, so we've got construction lines, which we'll have commonly for complex objects, for non-complex objects. Maybe we don't have a construction line in every sketch. Object lines, of course, we're going to have those because those lines define the object. Hidden lines will be common, and anything with a hole in it from a certain view is going to have a hidden line to define that hole. And there are other ways to get hidden lines as well. How about a center line? Well, a center line define the center of arcs, circles, or symmetrical parts. Half as thick as an object line. Okay. So in this particular case, this is a center line. What that tells us is that that is a circle. And the center line marks that, just as I've shown here. And it's over here. I've drawn that way too thick. So what might that be used for other than to let you know that there's some symmetry there, that that's a circle? Well, you can dimension to that. Say you wanted to know the distance from this edge to the center of that hole. Again, there's a hole from the top if I'm looking from above, but it appears as a cylindrical object from the side, and of course it's inside so we can't see it. So we use the hidden lines here and the center line here. Say we wanted to dimension from the edge to the center of that hole, then we could use the center line. How about a section line? So section line define where material is cut away. So we're going to learn about certain types of views that will remove a chunk of material from an object so that we can see what's inside. So in this particular case, something has been removed here, and it just turns out that I didn't mean to choose the rainbow color here, but these are section lines, and it's basically indicating that it's the interior. So it's the interior of the object. Something's been cut away. All right. The short break line, that's an interesting one. So the cutaway ends at the short break line. So you just make a squiggly mark here like this, and then everything over here to its left is cut away and is shown with the section lines. Let's see, freehand drawn. Okay, we pretty much do everything freehand. Shows where the part is broken to reveal detail behind the part or to shorten a long continuous part. Okay, so that's the short break line. How about the dimension line? This one we'll use all the time. A dimension line is just the line that has the arrows on it. It's a cool way to, easy way to remember that. So that's a dimension line. Oops, I'm kind of missing it. But they have arrows, that's a dimension line. And so it shows distance, it shows a dimension, really. Arrows drawn on the ends to show where the dimension line starts and ends. Actual distance is typically located in the middle of this line to display distance. So what I mean by that is that these, let's see, is that these numbers are usually right in the middle. That's all we're trying to say there. So the dimension lines are the ones that are in blue. Pretty straightforward. How about an extension line? Well, the extension line are the things that come out from the object perpendicular to the length, and they help us dimension it. So Inventor will do this for us, but we'll have to do it on our own when we do sketches with our pen and pencil. So it shows where a dimension line starts and stops. Okay, used with dimension lines. Okay, this is really not that applicable, but I guess it is in a way. It's 1/16 of an inch away from the point, the part, to avoid confusion with the object line. So if you look really closely in here, you'll see that they don't touch the part, because then it might get confusing, and you wonder if the part extends all the way out to here, and you just want to make sure there's a small gap between the extension line and the part itself. Inventor will do that automatically for us, and we just need to target about a 1/16 of an inch away. The long break line. Okay, this is one of my favorites. So you can see here that this part has a dimension here of 1 1/4 inches, and then down here it says 12 inches. Now 12 is, this is not to scale then, obviously. So the way to deal with that is to use these lines called long break lines. Come across here and make kind of a W-ish thing and a little gap between them. Probably seen these before, maybe if you've looked at any plans. And right there are the long break lines. That shows that this area here, from here to here, is much longer than it is drawn. Now there's two ways to see that. One is to see the number and say, hey, 12 inches, that's pretty big. But also this gives you a graphical representation to remind you that that's much longer. So what it does here is shorten very long objects with uniform detail, typically represented as a jagged cut or break. So that's the green part there is correct for a long break line. Leader line, these are very important. So we're going to start doing circles at some point, and a leader line always comes and always has an angle here like this, never vertical, comes out and then you got your dimension here. So everything I'm highlighting here are leader lines. And what you'll notice is that none are vertical horizontal. Well, I guess this part is kind of horizontal. But you don't have a leader line that comes in like this and goes straight down like that. So that's a no-no. Reason for that is coming off at an angle like that and pointing at an object, it tends to let you know that that is not part of the object. Whereas if you have things that have, you know, vertical and horizontal orientation, it may appear to be part of the part. So it shows dimensions of arcs, circles, and detail. Okay, generally, when they appear as a circle in your view, you would use leader lines. Okay, and we can get a whole bunch of good information attached there. Inventor will do that for us. Yeah, those are leader lines, line conventions. Okay, these standards relate to technical drawing, freehand sketching for us, and Inventor will magically do it for us and use these standards as a guide when sketching. Okay? Okay, what about precedents of lines? Say you got two lines that have to be right on top of each other. Let's talk about that briefly. Complex object sketches may require different line types that overlap. So just like with, what is it, PEMDAS in math, there's a hierarchy or precedence for using the relations in math, similar here. So the rules that govern line precedence in sketches and technical drawings. Okay. Object lines take precedence over hidden and center lines. Okay, object lines are king because they define the object itself. Hidden lines take precedence over center lines. Okay. Cutting plane lines take precedence over all others. Cutting plane lines. So where is that? Cutting plane lines. So we don't explicitly talk about that one, do we? Cutting plane. Okay, we'll have to revisit that later. But let's look at this example. So this object, I've come to find out, when we make multi-view drawings, this will always be the front view, this will be the right view, this will be the top view. And you can see from the front, it looks like we've got some jaggediness. We've got a staircase coming down, and we got a hole that's horizontal, and it's right here. You can see. From the top, that's going to, each of these corners here, and here, 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 are going to appear as just lines up here when I look at it from the top. Hopefully everybody can see that. However, we've got this hole here, and there's a center line. So there's a hole right below this little gap here. And so we don't have hidden lines showing up right here. We normally would if it wasn't for this little depression here. We got to take into account these corners, and that overrides the hidden lines associated with the circle. So object lines have precedence over the hidden lines. Object lines has precedence over the center line. Okay, so there's an object line here, and it has to correspond here, 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 here. Imagine you're looking at this one from the right, and it's going to look like that. Okay, our hidden line here corresponds to, again, that part there, and normally we would have a center line here, but it's overridden by, some more colors, by this edge, which defines a hard object line. Okay? So that describes line conventions, and we'll use these and they'll become second nature.